Hello and welcome to this presentation about tackling Norway's mental health crisis. My name is Tor Stefan H. Lura and I hold a Master in Advanced Networking. This presentation is recorded July 2023. My background is uni-educated with a Master in Science. I work as an advanced troubleshooter in a complex computer network in healthcare. As a hobby, I hold an interest in philanthropy and the betterment of others. So this presentation is the result of those studies. I was quite surprised this other day when I was looking at the Norwegian Bureau of Statistics, and I saw that 43.4% of all young adults between the age of 18 and 24 are suffering from low feelings of contentment in their physical or in their mental health. And this was a bit surprising for me. So this spurred this presentation. And for a long time we know about the marriages in Norway and in the West in general, but it's declining. People doesn't marry as much, and the divorce rate is quite high. So close to like 50 or 60% is are ending up in divorce and separation. So there's something going on in our society, and so this presentation I'm going to give a solution, or possibility of solution. So I think the problem is on many levels, but one of them is lacking structures, and those structures are family and community. And I think that fundamentally people are feeling a disconnection from reality, and we are also lacking a positive life story. So what is the meaning of life? So I would say the solution then is to improve relationships. And to improve those relationships, we need to improve people's social skills. And if we are able to improve people's social skills, then we are able to build structures, family structures and communal structures. Because if we have better social skills, then we wouldn't get that many divorces. And then we wouldn't have all of these depressed young adults. And in order to do all of this, we need to reorient where we place our focus. And to reorient where we place our focus, we need to tell better stories. And in order to do this, we need to work simultaneously on two fronts. We need to work on the abstract, where we tell better stories in order to have better focus. And we need to work on the concrete, where we reconnect with physical nature. So I will start with reconnecting with physical nature, the concrete. So I would say that children of today are like little rich princes that does not have to do anything or to be in contact with anything real. So most children today, they sit indoors, play a computer game. When they get hungry, they go over to the fridge, find some food, and then they go back to their computer. And they haven't done anything real. No children has to actually do anything. And this ends up in children lacking confidence to do stuff. Like, can children today do any carpentry or make food, like make dinner? So they lack confidence to do stuff. And they also risk then of becoming overly sensitive mentally and physically because they haven't experienced anything real, so they haven't been adjusted to real world, and then they become overly sensitive mentally and physically, so they get allergies, for example. And so I would then say that we need to reconnect with physical nature. And in order to do this, we need to start when people are young, ages of 6. And so I would say that we should reorient our school system to be centered around farming and taking care of livestock, real animals. And for the people living in cities, they could use aquaculture. So aquaculture is a technique where you use a combination of fish and plants to grow things. And after a while, so schools could start off with aquaculture. So all schools could do this. You could have a designated room, and they could install aquariums and lighting and plants, and then you could grow fish and you could harvest plants. And this is quite easy, quite simple to do. But after a while, you could also expand with larger and larger animals. So you could have some chickens, rabbits, goats. You could have some goats. If you have a large enough room, you could have some goats in there, I don't know. But you could use this aquaculture to produce greens for the animals. So the goat could get some greens that you have produced from the fish waste. So you only need to have fish food, and then and then you could use all of this produce, like all of this fish, these rabbits, these goats. You could use those produce in food production done by the children. So I think that children should learn how to slaughter fish, rabbit, and then use the animal for food. And then they should learn how to cook this food, and then how to serve it to their fellow peers, to the other children and teachers. And they could also sell the produce and earn money. So maybe they have many many hens. And and so they have too many eggs, and you could sell those eggs or rabbits or whatever. So I would say that we should reorient our education system to be project-based. So the reason you want to learn stuff is to do stuff. And the stuff you want to do is take care of these animals. So the reason you should learn how to read is so you can read instruction on how to feed animals, maybe. Or the reason you should learn math is so you can sell the produce. In order to not get stiffed when you sell the eggs, you need how to do the math. So you sell 12 eggs, like you literally want to sell 12 eggs to somebody, then you know how much money you should ask them. And you should count the money. And the reason you come to school is to feed and take care of the animals. Because if you don't come, the animals will starve. The goat will starve because you're not coming to school, because it's your responsibility to take care of this goat. So if you don't come to school, the goat will starve. And then you have to ask somebody to help you if you're sick. And then this will be a bonding experience to ask somebody to help you, because this goat is starving. So everyone or groups of children will get responsibilities for different tasks. It's your turn to clean the dishes. It's your turn to feed the goat. It's your turn to slaughter the fish. It's your turn to do the laundry. Because you need to have a nice table with duke, this cloth you put on the table. So it's your turn to wash this cloth. So we live like an old school farming. And all of this practice is that now you know how to do stuff in the world, because not everybody can be a farmer, but now you know what it takes to get to eat. So now you know, what you need to do to get to eat. And then you know that in order to get to eat, so you can't be a farmer, but you need to eat, then okay, I need to be something else then. And then you can trade money or skill with the farmer, so you get food. Because that's what we need. We need food. And so it can be something else. For example, a network engineer or whatever. And this will also maybe be a stopgap to go on benefits, like willy-nilly. Many people are like, I will just go on benefits. But then you know that somebody else is actually working to feed you. So you won't just go on benefits willy-nilly, or if you do, then you have respect that somebody is actually working to feed you. And all of this will also help you become independent and have self-value, because now you know how to actually feed yourself. Even in a city, you know that you can set up an aquaculture in your room, and then you can have fish and plants, and you can have on your roof, so you can actually feed yourself or add to your, so you don't starve. So you're not just a gamer that goes to the fridge and wonder where the food comes from. So you know how to eat naturally, you know how to cook naturally, and you know how to bond with other humans, because it isn't just artificial things. You're not just stuffed in a room together. You actually do things with each other. And loads of human bonding is over food. So when you produce it and eat it together, you have loads of bonding. And a bonus, maybe, again, you will get less allergies, because now you have been, because now you have learned to eat together and have had exposures to animals. And they say this is like a thing that, like children that are exposed to like animals, they get less allergies. Apparently, allergies is not a thing in Africa. It's only a thing in the West. So will you experience more meaning then? And I think so, because you know that by producing and sharing food with each other, taking care of animals, and see how the animal responds to you. Like the goat might start to like you, and the chicken will like you, like the chicken will recognize you when you come, and like, hey! And you see how it responds to you. And then, like, you're like based on something real when you have to take its life. So that's like sad when you have to kill the chicken. But then there's also the joy when you get to taste it and eat it. And you can feel the fruits of your labor. So you have learned many new skills. And you have felt nature over a longer period of time. Because you go to the school, like most children like on like elementary school for like 10 years. So think about this, 10 years of farming. So this will probably ground you in real life. You have felt life and death on your body. You have tasted it. you feel the skills. So all of this will probably give meaning to life. Meaning to life is to be with other people and eat with other people and bond with other people. And as an example for micro farming or mini farming is like this book here. It's about how you can set up a small farm on a quarter of an acre, where you will plant and raise chickens for eggs, raise chickens for meat. You can raise plants for eating, crop, pest control, and all of these things. So all of these activities you can do in this school farm. And if you live in a city and don't have any land available, you can do aquaponic gardening, where you raise fish and plants. So then you learn how to feed your fish and harvest your fish. And and plants, and you learn about pH and nutrients, supplements, and bacteria and worms, and all of this stuff. You do how to have this ecosystem work. But all of these ideas presented, they are all dependent on the acceptance of the possibility of suffering. Because to live is to have a body, and to have a body is to suffer. So one has to choose. Would you accept suffering and bring life with a body into this world? Or would you refuse and have no creatures? Because in order to have a chicken in school, we need to accept that the possibilities that this chicken might suffer. Maybe somebody will forget to feed it, and then it will starve. But the probability of this is low, and you can ask yourself, what is more fun? Is it to have a chicken in school or not? So this chicken, it might also enjoy life. Think of all the chickens that might feel the sun on its beak. There's quite a lot of new bodies, of new chickens, things that can experience life and can feel the joys of life, like the sun on your face or on your beak. So you need to choose, would you like to have more life in this world or not? And how we deal with suffering is the crucial point in everything in your life, in mental health. So we can accept suffering, and then I would say that we will go towards enjoyment, contentment, if we're able to accept suffering. Or we can deny it. But if we deny the possibility of suffering and suffering in general, I think we'll go towards bitterment and despair. Because many people that are bitter and sad, they're like, oh, why is there so much suffering in the world? And they can't accept it. They can't move past that suffering. It's just part of life. It's just something that exists. And that's just how it is. And I would say living on a farm or farm school is to learn all about this. We get new life. Life begins, life exists, life ends. And you will literally learn that shit happens. The chicken will poop and you have to deal with it. And dealing with chicken poop is it's smelly and it's a bit nasty. And maybe the guy that should clean it are sick, so you have to clean the chicken poop and the rabbit poop. So you have to accept your own suffering to help others, because it's your friend and he will get in trouble if he doesn't clean his chicken poop, but now he's sick. So you have to help your friend. So now you have to take on his suffering. So you have to suffer for other people, to help others, because you care for them. You care for your friend and for the chicken and rabbits. And I would say that when you accept the suffering, then you will form good relations, because good relations are built on the acceptance of suffering on behalf of others. So this is how we show our love to someone, to take on the suffering, or to take on suffering on their behalf. So I will help you clean this up. So think how the friend, oh, you really helped me clean up my chicken poop when you didn't have to. And then you show, oh, he actually cares about me because he went into some suffering for me. He cleaned up the chicken poop when I should have done it. But also, good relations are dependent on the willingness to admit mistakes and to own up to them, and then to ask for forgiveness, and then to forgive. And this farm will create loads of situations where people will make mistakes, and they have to own up to those mistakes, and they have to ask for forgiveness, and then people will have to be taught how to forgive. So it creates loads of real situations with like real feelings and real stuff, like the goat and the chicken and the rabbit and all of these, and the plants and all of that stuff. It's like, yeah, we have to take care of them. And many modern people have forgot about this. And yeah, so heaven and hell, I would say, is connected up to relations. Because for human, what we care about is having good and loving and respectful relationships with the people around you that are filled with meaning. And if a human, like all of the relationships to the human are like this, I bet you this person will live in a state of peace and contentment. If all your relationships are good, then you're probably happy. And the opposite is probably true as well. If all of your relationships are the opposite, so you are unable to have a loving and respectful relationship, and all of the relationship you have are just filled with strife and malice, I bet you that you will probably be in a state of bitter resentment. So this is heaven and hell. And this hell is probably what 43.4% of the young adults in Norway is feeling. I bet you that they don't have good and loving and respectful relationship with many people around them. Because maybe they're angry with their father because they feel it was the father's fault that he left mom, because almost half of marriages end up in divorce. So you can't have a good relationship with both of your parents. And this will probably take its toll on you. But if you get taught from an early age to form good relationships with other people, then the probability of having a divorce is low. And yeah. So yeah, I bet they lack good, meaningful relationships. And dealing with the chicken's enrichment of the soil would be a real bonding experience between everybody, like the children's peers, parents, grandparents. So just think about all the conversations this will generate when the kid comes home and like, oh, I have to deal with a pooping chicken today. And the grandparents are like, oh, I can remember a pooping chicken from my youth. and they could like bond off this chicken pooping, like intergenerational. And all of the potential to show each other support and to teach each other how to show support. So what if you have to slaughter the chicken? The chicken died. Deal with that sorrow. But then you could eat it. How fun that would be. So the key thing here is good relations with the people around you. And so if you have many good relations, that will form a happy human. But a good attitude, I would say, forms from a good relation. So you have to have a good attitude to have good relations around you. Because if you're negative and stuff like that, then yeah. But then to have a good attitude, it depends on where you place your focus. And a good focus, I would say, forms from good stories. So example for placing your focus in a bad way is like you were given 2 pieces of chocolate, but you were denied a third. So then the question is, Are you grateful for the 2 chocolates you got? Or are you malcontent for the 3rd you were denied? So where you place your focus, and these situations will happen to you like 50 times a day, and then 50 times 7 is like quite a lot, and then you have like 365 days, so you have many, so this is iterative and it will happen to you many times. And it's important that you are taught to place your focus and to be grateful for the 2 you got and not the 3rd you were denied. And we teach each other where to place our focus by the stories we tell each other. So the question is, do you know any good stories about this situation? And then, is there like a book that has these stories? So do you know about a story where someone takes on the sufferings of others because they love them? And then in the West, like Norway, has had a story for 1,000 years now, literally, almost 1,000 years now, since 1040 or something like that. And that is Jesus Christ. So for 1,000 years, we have had the story or had our focus on Jesus Christ. But in the last 50 years, more and more people have forgot about the stories of Jesus Christ. And I think this is maybe the reason why we see these numbers we see, because Jesus Christ is really all about taking on the suffering on behalf of other people because you love them. And Jesus Christ's main point, I would argue, is about having a good heart attitude towards other people. And this means that you see people as people and not as object. You listen to them and value them, because you recognize that all people are deserving of attention, like you're going to give them attention and care for them. So you don't care about the law, like you don't care about being politically correct in the situation. You care about the other person's feelings and being. So so you always try to take care of the actual person, and you don't care about looking good. So you don't care about your reputation or looking good. You care about being real and taking care of the people around you. And to do this, you also need to, because Jesus also talks about admitting mistakes. It's important to admit mistakes when you do them and ask for forgiveness. And then for other people to be merciful, because we are all people that make mistakes, and we all depend on other people forgiving those mistakes and showing mercy to us. So in summary, I would like to get back to basics. I would like to get in real contact with nature. I would like our children to get their hands dirty. I would like our children to make food, and then when they do this, they feel the experience of accomplishments from real practical work. Remember, most of our children, most of our people in our country, they are practical people. They need practical work. They need to use their hands. But nowadays we don't use our hands. We just sit at a desk and look at a screen and listen all day. And we humans are not designed to do this. We are designed to use our hands to do real practical work. So when we do this practical work, we produce food, and we eat together. We eat this food that we have produced. And by doing all of this stuff, we learn how to suffer for the ones we love. And we learn how to admit mistakes and ask for forgiveness and extend mercy. And all of this, I would argue, should be, supported by the stories that support these values. And I gave examples for those stories from the Bible and Jesus Christ, because I think those are the root points of these stories is about love and supporting each other. And if we do all of this, then I think that these low feelings of contentment will decline. So instead of being at 43.4%, they will probably go down to 5, because there will always be somebody grumpy. So, yeah. But I think that these numbers will be reduced, but we need to get back to stuff that is real and to feel real emotions and to have real experience with other living creatures. And to to eat them. And to eat them together as a team. Okay, I thank you for your attention, and God bless. Bye.